Good morning and welcome to video 4 of our bridge build series. So if you watched our previous video, you will see me build this fantastic structure here as the main deck of our bridge. So if you missed out on that video, there will be a link up in the top corner. And if you want to see the whole thing right from the beginning where I stripped the old bridge out, I'll put a link up to the playlist up there as well. So plan for today is I want to try and get the handrail uprights in place and the deck on here. So I've got a big pile of timber. So I've got some big upright posts for the handrails. They need to be put in place and bolted through into the main beams on the outside. Then once they're in place, it should be a nice simple job of just screwing the decking planks all the way along. So I'm not sure how far I'm going to get today because we are supposed to be getting heavy rain this afternoon, so I'm trying to work ahead of the weather. So I've already cut all this to length. I've pre-drilled the posts there, so let's see how many of these posts I can get in. Right, so in theory this should be relatively simple. The idea is I'm going to clamp the posts in place like that. I can then drill through the existing holes in the post and then just put some bolts through. I don't have to worry too much about it being completely upright at the moment because I can straighten it when I come to put the siding on, because there'll still be a little bit of play in there. Problem is that drill bit is quite long. I can't stand on this side of the bridge, although the water looks very shallow there. In the middle, under the bridge, there is a ridge. I can walk across there, but if I come over here, I'm about 4 foot deep in water, and I haven't got any waders, so I don't really want to be doing that. So I'm going to be trying to lean off the bridge and drill through. So hopefully this will go well. Let's see how I get on. So that's one down, 13 more to go. the handrail uprights bolted in place, so they are taller than they need to be at the moment. Plan is I'm going to put the wooden panelling on the side, and then once I've got to the top of the wooden panelling I can then cut the posts flush, because then I know that everything's going to be at the correct level. Now with this gap here, there's a mashing gap at the other end. I hadn't initially decided what I was going to do here. My first thought had been to continue the wire fence across, but I've decided I don't actually like the idea of that, so I'm now thinking I'm going to continue the wooden panelling from there across. So I've got these spare posts here which I can bolt in place there, so they can just attach to this post here, and then I can just continue that wooden panelling on all the way across on here, and again cut them to the correct height once it's all done. So I can't put this wooden panelling on until the decking's down, so that is the next step. Problem is the battery has gone flat on the drill and I only have one battery, so I'm going to go and put that on charge and have an early lunch and hope that the rain holds off and I can actually get some decking down today. See you in a bit. Okay, so there's a little bit of charge in the drill now, nowhere near fully charged, but it's certainly better than it was, so we'll see how far we can get with it. So I'm going to start putting the planks down on the bridge. I'm going to start from the middle of the bridge and work out in either direction. Now the theory for that is that each time you put a plank down you can end up with a slight inaccuracy. If I start from this end and work my way across, those inaccuracies build over that distance. By the time I'm on the very last plank, it could really be quite wonky. So by starting in the middle, you're halving the distance you're travelling, and therefore there's halving the amount of inaccuracies that you're going to get. So hopefully the ones at either end won't notice if they are slightly wonky. So as I put the boards down, they do overhang the beams on either side. So every time I come up against one of these, I'm going to have to cut round it, which is going to slow me down slightly, but in theory this should go relatively quickly. So it's going to be put the planks down, a couple of screws in each plank just to hold it in place, and then I can come back once they're all down and put all the rest of the screws in at a later date. Now normally you would put a gap between the boards. That is what you're supposed to do for ventilation and airflow, but I'm not going to do that. I know it's wrong, but this grass here is a problem. The Glyceria aquatic grass spreads like crazy, and at the moment with the previous bridge that was solid. They were all tight against each other and it was preventing it from spreading underneath. If I put gaps in between these boards, that stuff is not only going to spread underneath and take over all of this area here, it's also going to grow through the bridge and make the bridge look absolutely awful. So I know it's wrong, everybody in my body is telling me you've got to leave gaps, but I am going to put all the boards as tight as I can to each other because I don't want that stuff spreading. I have thought about different methods. I thought, what if I get one of those breathable membranes that you can put down? But I thought if I leave the gaps between the boards, then the dirt's going to fall down the gaps and get stuck on the breathable membrane, and that's going to cause even more of a problem. So we're going to do it wrong, but I'm sure it will work out fine. Talking about things being wrong, I did notice I did something else wrong, and I'm hoping that's not going to cause me a problem in the future. So when I put these posts in, I was supposed to put a little bit of plastic between the post and the beam, and that is to stop the water wicking out through into the beams. I thought, that's not a problem, I'll do it at a later date, so I've gone to unscrew them now, and I can't unscrew them. I think the wood's swollen, and the screwdriver bit's just jumping. It's mangling the head of the screw rather than taking the screws out. So they're stuck. So in theory, with the post being permanently saturated, it should be fine. It shouldn't rot because the bacteria and the fungus can't get in because of it being permanently saturated. So I'm just going to carry on and hope that this isn't a problem and hope that everything works out fine. So right, let's get some planks down. And with that, the deck is on and the rain has held off, which has been excellent. So obviously there's still a few hundred screws to put in here, but I'm not going to bother recording that because that will be boring. There is a little bit of tidying up that I need to do as well. But you can now walk on the bridge. It's now nice and stable. Obviously it's not open to the public, but it's a lot easier for me working. And if you view it from the side, it is excellent because where the bridge goes all the way across the water and the posts are central to it, you can't actually see those posts, so it looks like it is a full length bridge. So that is just wonderful. Now on here, the next plan is I need to put some siding on here, so that will be in the next video, and I do need to sort out the ends here as well because I've got a step up onto the bridge, so I need to increase the gravel level there, so that's going to be coming up in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a like, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one, and I shall see you later.